So in the end, you decided to go to Marshall in Huntington, West Virginia.
Yep.
But that wasn't your first choice. So
No.
what happened with what happened with that?
Yeah, that just goes back into not, having basically having that father figure around to actually, be on my ass or whatever I said. But like I said, my mom did a very good job of keeping us out of trouble. And but there's always the school side of things. As me being a popular athlete, my teachers, really don't worry about it, Phillip. Don't worry about this grade or you got it next time or something like that. And they kind of like babied me a little bit, and gave me like a free pass.
Right.
And as now as I think back, I took advantage of it, in which I shouldn't have did that. I should have actually, put forth some effort because there's times now where I think back like I'm just gonna go to skip a class, but I'm gonna just tell my automotive teacher I got to go to the bathroom, but come back in 20 minutes. But I'm losing time to learn knowledge about fixing a car.
Right.
Only thing I can do now is pump the gas in the car and change the tire. And like I said, I took advantage of that. Like I said, I apologize to everybody, because it wasn't right. I mean, it wasn't right for them to do, first of all, and for me at that age, knowing that my future is revolved around my grades. I learned that out my freshman year, but when everybody's like, "Oh, don't worry about it," my teacher's like, "You don't worry about this test or this test." It was just. It was bad at the end. I went out. We had the SAT score. SAT one Saturday after a game. So the Friday night we won. So we went out to the club. The first time 18 years old, so we get to go to the club. And knowing I have a SAT test tomorrow, the next day, I went there. Took the test. Thought it would be easy. Piece of cake. So I was supposed to score a 20. I scored an 18 because I committed with Auburn verbally.
Oh, ACT then.
ACT, yeah.
I think ACT.
SAT was 18, and I was supposed to score
ACT.
900 on the SAT.
Right, SAT, and then the ACT is up to 27, right? So 18, yeah.
I got an 820, and I did the ACT and got an 18. I was supposed to get a 20. Cause my grades were 2.5. I could have did better, but like I said, everybody said it was enough. You can go to college with this and stuff like that. And everybody said, you're going to college. You don't have to worry about this. And, I had Clemson, Auburn, and Louisville. Like, I had offers from a lot of colleges, but like I said, these were the main ones where the letters were coming in. And coaches I had that have, contacts with these schools. So, Auburn, wrote me, your SAT scores aren't so good. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, hey, what I'm gonna do now? Like that was my, dream, because Cadillac Williams was my host that one year, and it was like everything was just gone at the end of the day. Then Coach Pruitt came. He came with
Coach Pruitt was the coach.
Yeah, at the time, Coach in 2003, 2004, he was the coach at Marshall University, but all through the 90s actually, and then they were the number one winning school during that time in the 90s. Came, brought all these rings, saying, yeah, your grades aren't so good. And a lot of coaching the coaches from Auburn, they wanted me to go to a prep school. But I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm first team all state.
Right.
I just beat Calvin Johnson in the playoff game. And it's like, hey, I need to go DU. I knew my talents to go, but at the time I didn't know what Division II was about, JUCO was about. And maybe I should have took that route to get my grades right and things like that. But I end up going to Marshall as a prop. So like we had the prop 48. So it's like we had to sit out your first year. It's not a red shirt that you're not able to do things with the team. You have to do it privately in a group. So it was 12 of us that year. And that was my basically decision. When I went to Huntington, West Virginia, it was basically like going back to Rochester.
Okay.
So I see whites hanging with blacks, different things like that. I'm like, I can get down with this, I like this, and like the first party. I mean, whatever the college
gathering.
Yeah, the gathering. I would say, yeah, political correct. It was like, wow, I can dance with. I mean, I can dance with a white girl. I
Yeah.
can do this like. I can't do that in Georgia or anything like that. So
Not in Bainbridge.
Yeah, not in
Atlanta,
Bainbridge.
you can do that, yeah.
And that was for me. I just wanted to get away for a little bit, not knowing what I was leaving behind,
Right.
leaving my family behind and things like that. So it was me at the time. I just wanted to get out of the Georgia lifestyle, and yeah, that's why my decision was to go to West Virginia.
Right, okay. To Marshall. And how did it come about that you, so like you said, you were first team All-State running back. You get to Marshall and you get moved to DB.
Yeah, it was like I said, another situation with every athlete goes in with new coaching staff.
Okay.
You know, Coach Pruitt was under investigation by the NCAA for paying players previously, and you know, during my first year, we were working at a little daycare, 3 hours out the day, but getting paid under the table, not knowing that we weren't supposed to be getting this money. But like I said, it was through the company. We were working to get the money, but this was something extra because we had to. We weren't on full scholarship, so there we had to do a little bit of work to get some money or spending money.
Right.
And yeah, we had a new coach come in, Mark Snyder. He just won a championship with Ohio State. He's also a Marshall alumni. And yeah, they wanted to go in a different direction, you know.
Okay.
And us as being, you know, fresh meat, basically, the props, you know, basically they get to choose, you know, where you wanted to go. And we already had a good running back, Amar Bradshaw, at the time, my close friend. And they didn't want to switch up from that, so I was like, I gotta play somewhere.
Right.
You know, I gotta go and
I need to get on
play.
the field
I gotta
somewhere,
get on
right.
the field somewhere. And so I was like, man, I'll go to safety. You know, and I
Okay.
never played safety before.
So how big was that adjustment?
Really big. Tackling. You know, it was. I never tackled anybody, but I mean, of course you tackle somebody like in the
Maybe on special
backyard.
teams or something.
And like I said, it was a big changing, knowing the playbooks are, you know, this big and not knowing what coverages and things like that.
Right.
Actually learning the game of football, you know, having it teach to you instead of just, hey, you run this play in high school. So it was a big shock, big culture change. Yeah.
Okay, and you also mentioned that Huntington, West Virginia was similar for you to Rochester as far as people of different races, congregating on a regular basis and interracial dating and things like that. But so just one question. So as a team and, of course, as a university and as a community, how, in your opinion, did the people in Huntington respond to the We Are Marshall movie, you know, which was based on a true story? How did they respond after the movie came out in 2006? And were you familiar with the story before that movie?
Well, I was, well, actually, at the time, I was dating a girl at the time, and her great-grandparents were on that plane. They were the doctors at the time.
Could you kind of explain what happened, what the story's about?
Well, the story is 1970. Our football team was playing East Carolina, and you know they were coming back on the plane, and started to rain. You know, and we had a tragic accident. Like I said, we lost our whole team, 75 players. 75 members of our university passed away in a plane crash, which still to this day, you still can see the where the plane came in, and the grass will not grow. You can see that where you got
skid marks.
Yeah, basically. And like I said, it's very emotional just to think about it. And yeah, that was kind of my reason to actually go to Marshall.
Okay.
Just the history from just to see where it came from to what it became.
Okay.
And yeah, like at the time, I had a girlfriend, and her great grandparents were on that flight, and that was just learning the ins and outs about it, and learning about her family's history, and seeing news articles from that time of actually the news article from the exact date her grandmother had it, because her grandmother is still a sponsor to this day. giving back money, from her parents' fund to the club, and it was a big eye opener, And also going back to the movie, meeting Matthew McConaughey, Anthony Mackie, he's
because they came to the school.
Yeah, they came to the school, but we could not be in the film because we were student athletes.
Right.
But we had ex players that were on the team a few years ago. They were able to be extras, or whatever, and guys that just had graduated the year before, and that were familiar with the campus and things like that. They wanted to keep the face of Marshall still in Marshall instead of just using extras. So we had a lot of fun with Matthew McConaughey. I, thought he was just going to be coming in to be an actor, but he was really into it, even though he's a Texas Longhorn, how you do the Longhorn, whatever.
He always says that.
Yeah, and he came in it was like we were playing UCF that year, and he came in and was like he was serious. It wasn't like a show. It wasn't an act for him. I think he was more pumped than we were.
Right.
Because and Matthew McConaughey, it's like he's like, don't worry about me. Like, get off the bench. Like we're losing by 3 points. We lost by a field goal actually. He's like, cheer on the teammates. Like he was more into the game than we were. Cause we're starstruck. You know what I mean? Matthew McConaughey, Anthony Mackie, and all these guys are Marvels, films, or whatever. And it was a big change, and the city came together. You see it in the movie how the city came together, and everybody was very excited. That took part during that time, basically.
That sounds like it was a great and awesome experience, and really cool to see that such well-known actors are also down-to-earth people.
Yeah, definitely.
But thinking about that story, how did it feel for you knowing that you're now a part of that Marshall University legacy of perseverance and triumph? I mean, having gone to Marshall, having played football there, and having been a team captain your senior year.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I got a lot of brothers there that I can call my lifetime friends. A lot of family members that I've got in contact with, coaching their sons and things like that. And just experiencing, college, growing up in a different place, not in Georgia, but in I would say a neutral place, because we had interracial babies or interracial people that were already there. So their mom is white or their dad is black, or stuff like that. But it was just going back to the plane crash thing. We had a anniversary. I think it was 35-year anniversary of the plane crash, and we were going to ECU the same.
Oh wow. That sounds
week,
scary.
whatever. And we were on the plane. We were getting on the plane. We got our own, private jet or private airplane for the team. And we were about to take off. Everybody's putting their seatbelt in. Then we just look out the window, and it was a fire truck with a guy with a spacesuit on.
Yeah.
Coming, we're like, what's going on? What's going on? And our engine was on fire. And everybody panicking, forget this game. We're not going, crying, grown men crying, forget this game. We're not going. It's the anniversary of the plane crash. Right. Also taking it back into your mind. And they were like, man, forget this game. We're not going. It's just bad voodoo or whatever.
Right.
So they end up, putting out the fire. We take the same plane. And we get there. So everybody was, clapping the pilot, thank you, or whatever. And we end up losing the game. So, on the way back from East Carolina, smooth ride, stars out. We're seeing, 30 minutes before we land, it started raining out of nowhere. And it felt like the lightning bolts was right next to the plane. So everybody's on the plane holding hands, crying, praying. I'm like, oh man, it's all on the news, everything. Everybody, when they got back off the plane, everybody getting nested. You're okay, because all in the news because of the anniversary and things like that. And it was scary, man. That was one of the weirdest moments that I went through in college, I would say. It was very scary, but I'm still here.
Crazy. That's definitely sounds scary.